unconventional reserves. This is Alberta, this is the Orinoco Delta. Even the oil industry makes it very clear in this picture. This oil has no impact whatsoever on our future. This will be the oil that our grandchildren will use to produce maybe their medicine, if they need, or the plastic bottles or whatever. But it will not be an energy source because it will be so expensive and so scarce that 8 to 10 billion people will have to compete for this tiny slice. So it's not relevant. And then what gives us the growth is what you cannot read. It's white on light green. That's on purpose. They didn't make it black on white green because then you could read it. And what it says is, this is exploration potential. In plain language, exploration potential means we have no idea where this oil is. And this is our hope. Our hope is the oil that we believe in. This is a religious belief in the oil system. We don't know where it is. So if you read the graphs from the oil industry, they say the same. Natural gas, and here in Bulgaria you learned this winter what natural gas means. And this is the situation for Europe. These are the predictions that, at least in Germany, the institutes that do the analysis tell the government about. And I can assure you the government does not really follow the, let's say, conclusions from that. We have people that say that Germany needs to go to the source, whatever that means. But since the United Kingdom started to collapse in the year 2000, you see how dramatic this collapses. They barely make it. They have a natural gas crisis. The Netherlands cannot expand their production. Norway will have a very hard time to maintain their production or slightly increase it for a couple more years. That's optimistic if they can manage that for the next, let's say, 5 years to increase that. But as you see, even Norway will not help to set off the collapse of the Netherlands and the UK. Now, the hope that many people have is Russia will solve the problem. Now you see, this is import from Russia and Africa. And even if the import from Russia will stay the same, or maybe increase slightly, no impact. No impact on the development. And this is the LNG, so this is natural gas coming by ship. Very expensive, very complicated. The ships don't exist, the gas fields don't exist. So an increase is a very low probability and very expensive. But again, this increase does not change. So the Nabucco pipeline, that is a lot of discussed, South Stream here in Bulgaria, might be a pipeline that brings gas to Europe. But we don't need one pipeline. We would need about 10 to 20 of these pipelines in the next 10 years. And we can barely build one. We didn't even build the pipelines through the Baltic Sea up until now. And so no matter what you do, when you look at it, most of these infrastructures will not be built because the natural gas is not there to refinance this infrastructure. The infrastructure must be operated for the next 50 years, at least. This is the time span. And if you don't know what will be put into that infrastructure on the site where the source should be, then you don't know how to refinance the infrastructure. So money is not really willing to go after this risk. And even if they were, it wouldn't change the structure of the problem. So natural gas is as risky, or maybe even riskier, than oil, because oil is a world market. And natural gas is a regional market. So you have regional competition. And currently, Europe receives a huge portion of the natural gas from Russia. Russia, at least according to statistics, has about 30% of all the remaining gas on this planet. The flow traditionally was to Europe because during the communist regime they needed to get money, and so they were willing to sell something to the West that the West didn't have, and that was gas and oil. This is how they got the foreign currency. But now we have a developing market to the south of Russia, and that is China. And China needs natural gas. And when you look at the gas fields of the future, which tend to be more and more to the east, it is a lot easier to move this gas to China. So why should Russia try to move this gas to Europe? They want to diversify the market. They want to have two customers, not only one. And this would be in the interest of every businessman. So this is very, very probable. The new gas fields for us, like Stokmoskoye, are up here. They're producing under the sea at minus 40 degrees with pack ice most of the year. If something goes wrong there, it will take half a year to fix it, because nobody can get there. This is so complicated that it will not have a dramatic impact on the supply of gas. The hope for Europe is Qatar and Iran. Qatar and Iran, at least according to statistics, are claimed to have another third of the world gas in our hemisphere, so the Eurasian hemisphere. But the insider talk is that this reserve is well overstated. It is probably not even close to what we think is in there. And the question that you have to ask yourself, so this would be the gas for Nabucco. But you have India and Pakistan and China close to Iran. And when you look at the geopolitics, we are not nice to the Iranians. Why should somebody that you are not nice to sell you something that you need and he has, when he has another customer that is nice to him and that pays as much money or even more? So the gas from this region will most likely flow to India and Pakistan and then from there to China. So forget about the gas from Iran and Qatar. This will not solve our problems. And in the structure, you still have the transport problem, so it would not solve that anyways. Now we get to nuclear, which always comes up, because the nuclear industry wants to get more money. They have no projects. If it's a very short question.
Can you give some numbers about the people handling the gas issue? How many are the persons owning the gas sources?
How many persons control the gas sources? I cannot give you a well-qualified number. It's few, because most of these resources are government resources. So if you can lock it to a person, I would say no, but you can lock it to an elite inside these countries, which is in control. And if this is the national gas or oil company, it doesn't care. It is security and it is geopolitical relevancy that drives the decisions.
And Russia